outside.
It is warmer outside.
Warmer outside.
But I don't know. It's not that bad, though, is it? It's all right.
A little bit of guilt, right?
Yeah.
So when we went to go and see the Whisky Snug, they took us around the back of the bar.
Oh, have you been in? Have you?
Right,
Yeah.
to go the other way around. And all the builders and the guys were sitting in the back room over there underneath the big skylight, and they were boiling hot, and this used to be their room.
Oh, right.
So you felt the pain.
So I felt a bit of guilt because they were sitting in the heat.
Yeah.
Because when we first came to view this site, this was just a room for builders. They were just sitting eating their bait around a wooden table.
Yeah, it sounds like a party disco today, though. Because of the kids' event today. Is that causing loads of problems? I can hear it in my bones. You might have a mini soundtrack on your episode, Eileen. I might going to be bouncing behind. So yeah,
it's quite. You can hear it right there. But they're right up for it. They're boogie.
It is complete. I mean, what can you do?
We'll have to run with it.
Yeah.
Party time at the Sheepfolds.
Party time at the Sheepfolds.
I've never been here before, and I'm absolutely loving it.
I think it's good when you come in when it's like this, because there's another time when it's kind of torrential rain and there's nobody here and it's cold. Then you might go,
Why are they stuck there?
Yeah, why have you chose us here? But today's lovely.
But for me, I just keep thinking it's like when you go on holiday. And I went to a place in Toronto which was a bit similar, an industrial place that was made into a food joint, and you just think, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
And this has got the same vibe.
Yeah.
And you go on there when you're on holiday, don't you?
Yeah. It's been done really sensitively, though. So it looks, they haven't really changed much about the place apart from they've added a few bits on. But you're seeing the site in its true character of what it was when...
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how many years ago it was and how long it's been derelict for. But
well, that's the thing, because the cobbles and even the stone and the edge of the buildings as well. You probably mentioned this as you walked around.
I didn't show you the toilets.
Yeah.
But if you go into the inside of the building, in that bar that we went in, the curvature of each wall is the original. Was it the original angles?
I think
to avoid the horses hitting their shoulders.
The stables for the horses, So
because they've got to not have any angles so they don't hurt themselves.
Yeah,
and break skin.
But it's lovely. The attention to detail, and even the lads obviously round it proper. They've got the stable door style thing. It just works and it looks really nice. It's got a good vibe. And as soon as all of this kind of gets tidied up and the floor gets put in outside and the bridge, I think it's going to be a fantastic place.
It's quite tidy already.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the cobbles, and you've got the rounded ends. There was a bit with an oval, and I thought, that looks really good. So that's obviously been there a long time as well. It's fabulous.
Can I ask you a really silly question? Do you know because you've got an amazing site, right? Just up the road.
Yeah, just up the road.
Right, just up the road.
Do you find do you come to places and is it really nice to find another new place when you're an owner of a really iconic place as well?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
I absolutely love it, because you see, for me, I just think you go to places, and I've always been really interested in what's happening everywhere, and I try and go and I think, well, what would I do differently if I moved in here? And I think, and I notice things, like I notice stupid things like the bricks they use and the cobbles or the tiles they've got, and you just suddenly think, I'm a really weird person, because everywhere I go, I look around. But what's happened to me now, which has been even worse, is that I used to go and enjoy meals out, and now I sit there and I think, that person's not paying attention.
You become the worst diner, the worst critic. You can't help it.
And I never was before. And I think, what have I done?
Yeah. It's tough, isn't it? Because when you've got a business, it changes your whole perspective on everything. But do you lose your fun in it, though? Do you still have the joy in that?
No, I still in Ad Gefrin, I really love it, and I still walk in that door and I just go, wow, I've done it. And I don't know how long this will last for, because it's been 2 years that we've been open, and every time I go in, I just feel, I love being here. I really love it. I don't feel like that sometimes when I'm not there, when I've got lots of stress and issues to deal with, but that's life. But to go in and think that you've created something special is something else.
It's so impressive, though. The entrance is so impressive, and the attention to detail and the language that you've used on the signage and everything. It's just... it blew me away, you kind of standing underneath and you speak, and it's the acoustics of the space as well, and the wood that you've used. Everything, I'm like, my word.
Well, that was new. That was new to me, by the way. That spot in the middle. When who was it told me to stand there and shout up? I was blown away.
Yeah.
I had no idea the acoustics did that from that little central point.
Well, we didn't know that it was going to be like that. The architect didn't know until it was finished, because it had to be so precise. Yeah. And if it hadn't been, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, if there's distances and stuff like that,
it first started, the first time we noticed it sounds crazy, but we were up scaffolding and we were standing below the spherical atrium, the atrium's the spherical roof. And we were standing there and we go, wow, there's an echo, and it's continued. And we thought, this is incredible. Yeah. And so that was a little bit of a bonus. And
that's great, isn't it?
And you don't expect something. Yeah. It's really crazy.
Yeah. I hate to ask questions. We don't do kind of biography on this, do we?
No,
but I'm really keen to know, how you arrived at the Ad Gefrin project, because I know a little bit. I've known Chris for a while.
Mm-hmm. That's my stepson.
Yeah, his stepson. So I've known Chris for quite a while. And I remember meeting Chris at Doddington's Milk Bar before the spade had even gone on the ground for Ad Gefrin, but the excitement around it at the time. What was the pathway to that point?
Well, it's quite a weird story, really, because I'm an accountant. I trained as an accountant back in the day, and I probably should never have been an accountant because it probably doesn't suit my personality. I was, that's what I did. And my parents, my father worked at that site all of his life with my uncle and his father. And he was in road haulage, and we also had farms. So I was a farmer's daughter with the road haulage thing as well. So that site, Wooler, had always been the centre of the universe for my dad. And I always made fun of him. Everywhere we went, we would go to down south or we'd go abroad to wherever. And he would say, well, it's so many miles from Wooler. And I would say, oh, for goodness sake, Dad, it's not the centre of the universe. And he said, it's the centre of my universe. Yeah. And I never thought anything about it. And, I trained to be an accountant. And then my father had a heart attack. So I came back from the job that I was in to sell the business. And when I was selling the business, I was working at that site. And in walked Eileen Ferguson to buy the business. And then, so we sold some of the trucks. And then he decided that he would buy the company. And by this time, he was divorced, or he was getting separated from his wife, and he was on his own. And he said, so then we ended up dating. So we met on that site. I met Chris, my stepson, on that site when his dad came to buy some trucks. Chris came up with his dad one Saturday morning, and we had to speak to all the drivers to say, Ferguson's are taking you over, but this is what's going to happen. And there was no romance or anything in the air at the time. And then we sold the whole business to Ferguson. So all of my siblings got money for their shares, and I got nothing. I got some shares in Ferguson's. Yeah. And then the rest is history. So that was that. And I'd always thought, before I even met Alan, I thought, I'm not going to sell this site. He can think he's getting that business, but he's not getting the site. And I said, well, I don't want to sell it for houses. We could have sold it 20 times over for houses. But for a rural community like Wooler, more houses would have been the death nail, because people would have bought them for holiday homes or retirement homes. Yeah. And we thought, and every time we came up with an idea, we'd say, well, no, we're not having that. We want to have a purpose for that site, because it's really good on the roadside. Yeah. It's really good. So I'd always thought visitor experience would be quite good. And I had no idea what kind of visitor experience we would have. So at the time, I heard that Postman Pat had been based in Glendale, and I was thinking by that time I had small children a little bit further. I wonder if I could Postman Pat it, and then I thought, no, we can't. So then we started going to France on holiday, and I would go down with the children, and then on the way home, Alan would fly down. He would work a bit extra, and I would take all the stuff and the kids, and we would stay in France for a few weeks, and then we would come back home, and we would always stop at vineyards. So we had our favourite vineyard was in a place called Epernay. It's a Champagne region, and we went to the Mercier vineyard, and the children loved it because we'd go in the tunnels underneath, and you would go on a train, and you would go around and see all of these barrels, and you would see the bottles being turned and everything, and then you would be kicked out into the tasting room. And what happened was the children were really happy because they'd had this adventure in a tunnel, and they'd heard about wine, whether they liked it or not. And then we would have a drink at the end and stay overnight and then go on our merry way. And I would always come back and say, you know, Alan, it's such a pity that we can't do that at Wooler. And every time I got the same answer, don't be ridiculous, we can't grow grapes in Northumberland, although I believe they are now. So when English whiskey became a thing, I thought, well, you know, maybe we could pin it to that. But I still had no idea what the visitor experience was going to be linked to. I'm thinking, well, will it just be a distillery with a tour type thing? And we did a bit of research. We visited loads of distilleries, did a bit of research, and then we decided to tell our children. And I remember it was Easter Sunday in 2018, and we announced to the world in August 2018. So we'd planned it quite well, the distillery bit, by then. And I was chatting, and we said, right, kids, you're coming. And Alan was humming and hawing because he finds giving them difficult, you know, information quite hard. And I said, oh, let's just cut to the chase, kids. We're spending your inheritance. We're going to build a whiskey distillery. But if you don't want us to, that'll be fine. We won't bother, because, you know, that's it. Because it takes a lot to build up the stock of whiskey. So, and then the next question I had was, would any of you like to join me? And I wasn't thinking about Chris, really, because he was an academic, because he's got a PhD in archaeology. And he turned around and said yes. And I thought, oh, right, I've got an academic now. And it's been a brilliant combo, because he's done all of the local history, and I've learned so much about Anglo-Saxon history. My learning curve's been really steep. My learning curve on whiskey's been equally steep, because we've got a great distiller. But we've put something together that's quite unique.
It is very unique.
It is.
And of the place. I mean, that's what's interesting, that, you know, there's no real obvious ties to whiskey in that part of the world. But there is, if you know what I mean. It doesn't feel out of place. And the fact that it is in complete sync with the land and that environment, I think it's a perfect example of kind of almost agricultural tourism and food tourism.
But starting with the idea of, I want to do something for purpose, for visitors, for the region, well, that's perfect. And you've done that. I like the fact you've combined it as well, because it's a beautiful place, the museum, and then you've got a restaurant, and you've got the distillery, you've got everything there in this lovely place. It's just fantastic, isn't it? Fantastic.
Wooler does feel special.
Yeah.
I love going to Wooler. And my ties are to people like Dorrington's. I've known them for years and worked with them. But it just feels like there's something bubbling under the ground in Wooler, waiting to happen all of the time.
Well, I think for me, I mean, I always think, well, you've got to look at things and say, what is your purpose? And, you know, we've got a past, we've got a past, we've got a story to tell. We've got potential, we've got a future, we've got a product, but by far the most important thing is the people. And I'm a really community. And I could remember being a little girl and being with my dad, and he would take us up the street in his he had a Jag at the time, and he would say, you'll have to run in because there's no parking spaces. And I ran in and got the paper and came out and jumped in his car. And then Wooler was in decline. And you think, we want to keep our high streets, we want to do something and give really good jobs to people so they don't have to move from the area, because it's a beautiful place to live and it's a beautiful place to visit, but we need jobs. And that's part, most of it that really, I think I kept thinking, we can't sell it for housing and then it'll go into decline.
That's it, isn't it?
You see that in lots of places, though. Like in Yorkshire, there's lots of small towns and villages that have gone down that route, and it just rips the soul out of the place. They feel so temporary, and when you see the holiday, I mean, it's an issue across the country, isn't it? The second homes, and it would have just been the wrong thing to do.
Yeah, and I also think we've got the perfect story, because as I researched Anglo-Saxon history with the help of Chris, obviously, it became so apparent that what Northumberland's really famous for is hospitality, because we're quite welcoming, and hospitality is about listening. You know, you're giving me hospitality today because you're listening to me and you're hearing my story. You've given me a coffee, and that is true northern hospitality. And the Anglo-Saxons were famous for that. Yeah. So we're saying we want to give hospitality to all visitors that come in and show them what Northumberland is, what Northumbria is, because it's all of the northeast, you know.
I love that you said Northumbria. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Northumbria did, you know, it goes from the Forth to the Humber. And we encompass people. And it's all about belonging together and saying, you know, you can come from anywhere, but we belong together. we were, let's eat together, let's taste a bit of whiskey together, let's do something together. When you sit down and you share food or drink or whatever, you get connection.
You do, 100%.
But it's a massive risk. You've really put your heart and soul and everything into it. It is a massive risk because you could have just went, well, let's sell the land for houses and that's great, all profit from that. You haven't. You went, we need a challenge. Do you know what I mean? It seems like almost that, isn't it? Yeah. Seems like you like a challenge as well.
A bit crazy, a bit of a crazy woman. Actually a crazy couple, because Alan is just as bad. And we founded it together, and we really love it, and we're really invested in it because we believe in the Northeast. We believe in the whole region, and say this area hasn't had any investment for generations. Particularly rural Northumberland. It's had no investment. We've hardly got a road. It's like a farm track.
Yeah.
And let's say, put our money where our mouth is, and give something back.
Usually people want an easy answer and an easy solution. That is not an easy solution, because you've kind of created two things as well at the same time, haven't you? You go, that's not hard enough. Let's Whisky Distillery as well.
Yes. The path of most resistance.
Yeah. It was, yeah.
I actually say, I think we were completely naive, because we effectively started 5 different businesses on day one.
You have, yeah.
Because we started a bistro, a gift shop, an event space.
That's mad, isn't it? Yeah.
The visitor experience, and a whiskey distillery. And you're thinking, starting one would be bad enough, but we couldn't let it grow piecemeal because it wouldn't have the impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've got like 5 separate parts that have to work in tandem.
Yeah.
We've got different operating models and
But was that a realisation? You've got to be around the kitchen table going, right, I've got an idea. And it always starts with an idea. Yeah. But then you've added on. Mm-hmm. Did you sit there and go, hang on, 5 businesses?
No, but we sat there and looked at it as one and said, if I was going somewhere, what would I like? If I'm going to a whiskey distillery and we're telling them about history, how do we get them together? Now, I would also like a really good quality restaurant, bistro type thing, and I would like to have, and even the bistro in itself is quite, almost like tricky to manage, because you want it to be all things to all man, because you want people to be able to eat in the daytime what they want to have. They want the daytime offering, but you also want it to be a lovely space to be eat in the evening. And I guess Alan and I have travelled quite a bit, and we've been to places, and you think, we were in this distillery in Canada, or this actually it was a vineyard in Canada, but the distillery was another story. But we were in a vineyard in Canada, and we went for dinner, and it was just so lovely. And you think, we want to do that to Ad Gefrin. We want to do that there, because we want to make it a place that people want to come, and that we can get them home to their accommodation, because we'd been staying in this accommodation, and the lady who owned the condo drove us to the vineyard, and then the vineyard arranged for us to come back. And you think, it's really nice to give people a good service, so that you go home thinking, I now think, of the Canada, I've got 2, they've got the whiskey distillery and I've got the vineyard, and I just think, wow, they were great places that we just happened upon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and ahead of the time. I mean, I've been to places like that in South Africa where you go to vineyards in Stellenbosch or whatever, and everything's so joined up. It doesn't look like it is, because everything's so sensitive to the land. So you'll go to a vineyard and it'll have a restaurant to the side, but you're right, someone will pick you up and they'll take you to accommodation. You don't have to think about how you're getting there or how you're going to get home. Yeah. There's no second, have I had too much to drink? I can't drive. Mm-hmm. You're just looked after from A to B.
Yeah, it's experience, isn't it, as well? And that creates stories, isn't it? Yeah.
Because that's what you remember.
Yeah,
and you see, I always think good experiences, I think you'll remember your food and your drink that you have whenever you're at any of these places, because you think, I've had a great time. And you remember, in Canada we had ice wine. And I thought, that was gorgeous. Mm-hmm. So now you think, I really like that wine.
You do, yeah. You remember your best steak. You remember all of these things around the world, don't you?
You do.
And that's it. And that it kind of, because I was thinking about this last night. I was watching Glastonbury. So I was watching that on the telly. I was like, somebody goes, oh, have you heard this? This is great. This was on the weekend. It doesn't have the same vibe because you weren't there.
Yeah.
You've created the emotional attachment to the actual event that you were at, and I think that's it there. You can't ever tell that story and get that feeling across. You have to be there. You have to experience it yourself, you know.
It's personal.
But it is.
Somebody interprets that experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And wherever you've been around the world, you'd be like, it's because of everything slotted into place, and that's why I remember that space and that place, because that's all everything is. It's just memories, isn't it? And it's good memories, and you're creating other people's good memories as well.
Well, I hope we are. And, you know, that's why my life, I think, is revolves around memories, because even the foods you like, it's where you've eaten them.
Yeah.
There are things that you really love because of where you've eaten them or you've tasted them. You know, we were talking earlier that we said about that I went to the south of France on holiday regularly, and for me a Provençal rosé wine is absolutely fabulous in France.
Yeah.
But when I bring it home, it doesn't taste the same.
It doesn't. No, you're right.
It's just like
It tastes better on holiday.
Yeah. It does. It is exactly that.
you put the ice in, you've got your Provence rosé, and you've got your tapenade on your little croutons, and you have this taste, and it's like blows your taste.
Well, here's a question. How much of that do you think is brain trickery? Because I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
I remember when I was about 20, I went to Santander in the north of Spain, and I remember having a glass of Albarino wine and a plate of whitebait. And I've never been able to replicate that memory ever. But I've done it a million times since.
Try it.
But it's never the same.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how much of all of the elements were just right in that moment in time for my brain to put an anchor in that point and say, that was special.
But even a cup of tea and a biscuit, if you're on a lodge sitting on the front, there's a field in front of you, you're by yourself, you got a cup of tea, and it's just a perfect moment. You can't get that again. You have to be there.
But do you dunk the biscuit?
Oh, it depends on what the biscuit is, though. Eileen,
You've opened up Pandora's box now, haven't you? Can of worms, Pandora's box.
Can of worms, that's it, yeah.
Can of worms, I would say.
But yeah.
It is, but it is. It's all these special things.
Yeah.
And, you know, you just think, wow, how does this happen? But equally so that if you have a bad experience, you don't want to taste that food again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember for the very first time I tasted oysters, I had a migraine the next day, so I didn't have them again.
Oh, right, that put you off.
And it put me right off until relatively recently, actually, in the last few years. We were away on holiday, and I had tempura'd oysters, and they were amazing. And I had them with a glass of Sauv Blanc, and I thought, oh, wow, these are to die for. But I've never had raw ones again.
All right,
because
okay.
of so I think there's something that your memory, and it's your memory, and it's who you're with, and it's all the associations really affect.
That's got to be a natural thing. Were you nervous though to try the oyster? Were you going to go, I don't want to try these just in case they were going to be bad?
I was. And then I tried them. I thought, oh well, you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for middle.
Yeah.
And then I was fine.
Okay.
But I was really worried about it.
You brought the curse kind of thing.
It's a defense. It must be.
It is.
It must be a defense mechanism in your brain that says, there's a few things that could have made you feel that way, and I'm going to eliminate all of them.
I'll tell you what I'm going to ask. Alice, is it a thing? Because you're more intelligent than us.
Actually, I have to back that up. You are more intelligent than us, Alice. No pressure.
Alice,
you're not like this podcast brainiac.
Yeah.
Wait, so what am I answering?
What was the question?
No, it's just
supposed to be listening. No. It's kind of is something like intrinsic in the human nature, as in it's an alert. I've had a bad reaction to that.
Well, do you know
is it a thing or not?
I feel like we've got enough anecdotal evidence on this podcast because when James was on, he was saying he's convinced that Harrods chocolate gives you pneumonia.
Oh, yeah.
Like whether it's a thing or not, everyone kind of believes it.
And I brought up me feeling like I had the flu when I ate a dime bar when I was 15.
You did, It's by association, isn't it?
Things kind of stick with you.
Yeah, they do.
But is that a memory thing? Does it go into the brain and just slot in as a memory?
I think it must do.
Have you got any?
Yeah.
Is anything that you have?
No, not really. I think for a long time, I don't know what it was. Like, I expressed that I liked a carrot cake once to my mum when I was little. So the only cake she would ever get was carrot cake.
That happens with every mum's though.
Yeah.
It's like a ham sandwich, that's what you're getting for 25 years.
And after a few years, I was like, oh, I'm sick. Anytime I have carrot cake, I feel sick. So I didn't have it for about 10 years. And then a few years ago, I had it again. I was like, oh, it's actually lovely.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
You might be able to get over it.
Yeah, well, I think you can, like you've just said, with the oysters, they kind of got over that kind of thing as well. So I think it's only when you're ill or you're sick or something like that, but that's definitely a defense thing in your brain. It's going, don't touch that again. You know, I think maybe it was like, I had a dodgy like Chinese chicken curry once, I haven't had it since. So, and it's that's like 25 years ago. So
I can't hurt you again if you don't have it.
Can't hurt it again.
We'll probably have to do like a bonus episode of the podcast where we get all those things and we do them live.
Yeah.
I'll get a dime bar. You can get that curry.
And oysters.
Yeah, you bring some raw oysters. We'll just line every guest.
All the guests. Yeah.
Yeah, line them all up. Right.
Oh, we'll call it have a food fear factor.
Yeah, food fear.
That's it. We've got it.
We've got it.
You can get over things, can't you?
Well, you
can
definitely
get over them.
You can. I think it's that, isn't it? But I'm intrigued. Is it a human nature thing? It clearly is, isn't it?
Well, it's actually quite topical. I got over. I had a really bad thing about gin.
Really?
Just because I had a really bad experience in my teens.
Well,
you know,
no, but how many? There's got to be a few of those, haven't there?
Yeah, but it lasted about 10 years.
Bad experience and a whiskey bad experience.
No, I had a gin bad experience because my friend's parents went away. And we just we didn't drink spirits. So we just we drank the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I couldn't think about it for about 10 years. It took me a long time. In fact, it was not until I started working in hospitality when I could move away from the Gordons of the world and into the world of, top level, nice gins. Yeah. And then I just started to tip myself back. It took ages. I used to gag thinking about it.
Really?
But did you mix the gin with anything, or were you drinking it neat?
It was probably, I was 15 in Heppen. I was probably mixed it with like lime cordial or something like that. No, I can't remember. I don't remember what it was. It was probably somebody's flat tonic.
Because do you not think how you enjoy things depends on how you combine them? Because we all have different tastes, and we all like to drink our drinks with different mixers.
Yeah,
we all like different ways of whatever, and you just think, well, the combination, because, I love like ginger and rhubarb, and that to me is a perfect combination.
Yeah.
And or you have, whatever if I have a pizza, I like it in Italian red. And it's like the combos.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know that I like completely different tonic to my husband. I like Schweppes Slimline.
Yeah.
And he likes, with our gin, he likes elderflower from Fever Tree. Yeah. And you just think, it's just different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you mixing with your gin?
Well, I do mine. We recommend a Marlish Distiller's Choice Tonic, but I'm not convinced with it. I have it with Slimline Schweppes.
Okay.
I love it. And sometimes I put orange peel in it, sometimes I put lemon in it, because it's a citrusy flavour.
There's a real science to it, isn't there? Because I've spoken to, I think I spoke to Chris at Heppel quite a long time ago about this, because I was very, very much a purist about you've got to use Marlish. They're local. And they're going, it's not right. Doesn't taste right. Fenimans did a tonic as well, didn't they? And the amount of people I work with locally who say we can't use it. It's not right. It's not the right botanicals. It doesn't work with our gin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
not all tonics are equal.
No, they're not.
It
was a really nice one. I was out for a drink the other night, and the new hotel that's just opened in Alnwick, the Bailiff Gate, and they do it with, is it Franklin's tonic?
Yeah, Franklin's,
I think it's a cucumber and elderflower. And I thought, well, I'll just have the signature serve of our gin. And I went, Alan, I found a tonic I really like with our gin.
Yeah.
And because it all tastes different. There are some things compare better than others.
Yeah, it's such a revelation when you find it, though. It's like, it's like a eureka moment, isn't it? To kind of find the thing which you go, I've been looking for this, but I've had to search high and low through it. Spent 20 years looking for it.
And it's the same, when you do anything like with whiskey. I don't drink neat whiskey very often. I do if I'm tasting, as in a tasting panel type thing, and I can taste the different flavors. But I really like it with ginger or a little bit of orange. I like to pair it with something.
I didn't even know you. Because
Ginger.
It's fabulous with ginger ale. Lovely with ginger ale.
Because I used to be a fan of a rye and dry. I like dry ginger and whiskey. It's lovely.
I just never known you'd do something with a whiskey, because back in the day you would just have a Jack and Coke, wouldn't you?
Yeah, totally.
That's kind of
totally.
it, but that's it. Nobody ever went round or go, oh, this goes with this goes with that. It's a completely different world now, isn't it? With mixologists and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They know exactly how to pair these things, and it's a spice and it's a sweet and then it's a thing, you know? So it is, I mean, is it a science or is it just a concoction of both?
I think it's a concoction of both.
Yeah.
I think it's a science and an art because you've got to try. I think, you know, the other thing with our whiskey, I didn't know it went really well with it, but somebody made cheese souffles and I had a little taste of the whiskey with cheese. That was really brought flavour out. And you think, wow, so I'm a big fan of finding out as much as you can about combining foods. Yeah. Because I think that's really important.
It is, but it's giving it a try as well. Because you would never know unless you try it. Because sometimes you might go, that doesn't sound like it's going to go, and you might not. So, yeah.
So how many years have the doors been open now?
2.
2 years.
We opened in 2023. Yeah. March 2023.
And you're winning loads of awards already.
Yeah, we've won the REBA local ones, the Northeast REBA Awards for Best Building in the Northeast, Best Architect. Well, that's Richard Elphick, our architect, won that. We got the Sustainable Business Award, Sustainable Building of the Year. We got, there was another one, and then we got Best Client. We can take that one because Richard Elphick is the guy who's the architect, so he did that. Yeah. So he's done really well, so I think he's been delighted. And then we also won the Best New Tourism Award in England, the Visit England Awards. So
that's a big deal.
It was a huge deal. Yeah. We were dead excited about that one because it's great when you win the one in the Northeast and you think that's fabulous. Yeah. And then about a week and a half later, we found out we'd been shortlisted to go up in the top 3 for the country. And then you're thinking, well, we've done really well. And you convince yourself that we've done really well to get in the top 3 because, you know, there's lots of regions in the country. So we're tootling along and you're thinking, I would really like to win it. And then when you do, it was like, whoa, blow me away. It was phenomenal.
But when you didn't even think about this before you started out, then you're winning awards for something. You must be proud about the fact that you're winning awards and it's doing something good for the region as well. Well,
I'm really delighted that we're winning awards because we didn't start off with that in mind and we're not award chasers. So, you know, you've just got to think it's great to be that somebody's affirmed you, that your decision has been right. That's what I look at it as. It's affirmation. We've built this wonderful business, well, not business yet. It has still to be built. We've built this wonderful building. And then you're thinking, well, people are appreciating that. Yeah. And then you've got the new business award. And then the next thing, I'm always at the next stage that I think, well, we've got the new business. That's been really good. People are enjoying what they're seeing. But how do we keep up? Yeah, because we've got to. It's no good. You can only win a new business award once,
that's the thing,
can't
though.
you?
Do you know that mentality that you mentioned earlier, though, about since you've got into working in hospitality and tourism, you're your own worst critic all the time. So you can always see things to improve. And I think the death knell of any business is once you think you've made it and you become complacent, you must always be looking for things. Yeah, I know I'm like that. You're the same. Always looking for an improvement.
Yeah, nothing's ever good enough.
People see it's perfect. You always see the 1% that you can change.
Yeah, well, you do. But that must be instilled in you as from a girl as well. From what's Eileen as a child like? What's your childhood? Yeah, I'm going back. I'm spinning this back.
My childhood was. I was born as a farmer's daughter.
Yeah, you mentioned farmer's daughter. I want to know what that day is like.
Well, that deal's really hard when you're
in all the time.
When you're a traditional farmer's daughter, because the sons are very important and the daughters are basically, well, you sort of get on working. No, I had to learn to cook.
Right, okay.
I had to help my mother and I had to go into the office and help do that kind of stuff. Hence why I became an accountant, I think, because I had an aptitude, was quite good at maths and sciences. So I did that, went down that route. And my brothers got to be out on the farm and one's a vet and one's a farmer. And they were very much, you know, the golden boys. And you know, and it was always so, you know, the boys were important because that's the line of succession. And the girls were sort of, in a way, I was probably slightly ignored a bit, but I've always been a bit of a rebel. So I would always challenge everything.
Fighting for your space.
And I think, because I was third out of 4, because I had an older sister, then a brother, then myself, then a younger brother. And I think it was almost like, well, I'm a bit of a rebel. And you say that we've got to do it that way, but do we need to? Why can we not do it this way? And, you grow up in young farmers. I was in the Edinburgh Young Farmers over the border because we moved over the border I was born in Northumberland, and I'm completely Northumbrian. But when I was 7, they moved a few miles over the border, just inside Scotland, and I was known as a Sassenach all the way through school, which means the English person in Gaelic.
Really?
And until I left school, I mean, talk about racism. It was just like awful, and it made me quite feisty, I think. And you think, well, you're not going to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And
so, at what point did you? Because you've got an accent. Did you change that? Can you remember changing that? Or it was always there?
It just happens. Well, I was born in Berwick, and it's obviously the Scottish border, the Scottish-English border. And we lived on a farm at Ford, and then we moved over the border nearer Kelso to a farm there. And my accent, I think, developed as I was in school.
Oh, right, okay.
It's an incredible merging of worlds, though, isn't it, between Scotland and Northumberland? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which has always been, well, it's not been an identity crisis for Northumberland, but, I've worked with lots of people who look north as opposed to looking south of the region because they're so close to the Scottish border. Mm-hmm. I mean, it happens, I guess, when you go south of the region towards Yorkshire and North Yorkshire, you've got the same things in Darlington and the Tees Valley, where they're looking the other way in terms of that identity and who they are.
Yeah. And I think we've got to look at it and say, again, it's a bit like the belonging that we were talking about earlier. We're better together and, we're stronger together. And my brothers are both quite Scottish, and myself and my sister are both quite English or quite Northumbrian. And I think, well, isn't this weird? And, I'm a big rugby fan, so I love going to rugby. And I support England all the time, unless they're playing Scotland. And I support Scotland all the time. Whoever they're playing, and when they're playing together, it just depends who's on the team.
Yeah.
It's normally, if my husband's, if I'm there with my husband, I sometimes wind him up because he would always be English. So I would always say, one of my daughters and myself, we cheer on Scotland, and I sing the Flower of Scotland, and I sing that, God Save the King. Yeah. And I'm quite happy because my identity is we're together. We're better together. It's like being in a family.
Yeah. I've always felt that way as well. My relationship with Scotland and the North East is a very blended thing for me. Partially because of my family members and my own, my connections to Scotland and Northumberland are really, really strong, and I can't separate them out.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's mad, isn't it? I was thinking the Northeast as well. You know how you go anywhere in the country, they think you're from another planet, like when you're down south, and they can't understand a word you're saying. We can understand Scottish, and we can understand Irish, we can understand everything else. I think we're quite good at understanding a lot of different languages as well, and we just get it straight away. Why is that though? I know we're on the cusp of everything. Is that
I think that's what it is, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because we're so close to Scottish.
When I was living in Glasgow, I was there for 5 years and I never ever struggled at all.
No.
I just didn't. I had friends who were from the south who lived with me who really had to tune in.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't understand how you're finding this difficult.
No,
even broad Irish,
I can hear nuances, but I'm not very good at foreign languages. But I can understand everybody in the UK, and I love the Irish accent.
Yes,
I love mimicking that.
Yeah,
I think that's a great way to be.
Yeah, it depends how quick you talk, isn't it?
Did you say mimicking?
Mimicking?
Are you good at accents? That's it now.
I definitely think Scottish can easily lean into Irish quite quick.
Absolutely.
Quicker than we can, I think.
Well, it's when it was, when they say things like, "Can you verse that car a little bit more forward here?"
Yes, you've got it. It is certain words, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's the way they say it.
Yeah.
And
it's the roll on the R, isn't it?
I think. Pass me the pepper and salt, and we would always say salt and pepper, and you notice little things like that.
It's all right, okay, that's lovely, that, isn't it? Yeah, I love that.
You just think, well, that's quite.
Yeah. It's just a unique way of putting things, because we talk about this all the time. We talk about all these things on here, like talking about kets of sweets, and there's so many other different things that we like pop.
Yeah, there's tons. Well, even that word you just told me, the Celtic word, what was that again? For the English person?
The Sassenach. That's a Gaelic word. Gaelic word.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
And then when you come to Ad Gefrin, of course, you hear all the Anglo-Saxon words, like for ladies, it's whiff.
Yeah.
And you think it's a bit like wife.
Yeah, of course it is.
This is weird. It's really weird.
It's fascinating how things are whittled down, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shortened. and then I tagged on. But it's probably just speeding the conversation up, isn't it?
Oh man, if you read about some of the
Communicating.
connections of language in the Northeast and how it connects to Old Norse and Old English, there is we're the last remaining language, aren't we? I think up here that you can see the origins of certain words that link directly back to Old English.
Yeah.
And it's great because we get some visitors, and last week I was talking to some people from Germany, and they were saying, "What language is this?" And I'm saying, "Well, it's Anglo-Saxon." And they're saying, "But this is a word that we use." And I'm thinking, "Well, isn't that incredible?" But they come from Scandinavia and Germany and Holland sometimes, and we're using words that are familiar to them.
Well,
We don't know that.
Look at yeah. I mean, it's a perfect example, isn't it?
Absolutely.
This isn't it?
Yeah,
because it's so close to it.
I grew up. My dad saying, "I'm going yam."
Yeah.
But it's so close to a slang, and that's probably where the slang is coming from.
Yeah.
Is that the crossover of the language?
Yeah.
And it's
mad, isn't it?
fascinating.
Yeah.
I think the more you, when you're, I'm a lot older than everybody else, as we can clearly see. And but the more you experience, the more you realise there's so many similarities.
Yeah. So you mentioned cooking as a girl.
Yeah.
What do you remember? What's your food memory from cooking with mum in kitchen?
Well, my mum.
I said mum. I never use mum. I always use mum.
See, I'm going to choke that one. I'm going to choke that one.
I do when I talk to other people.
mum.
I use mum because I'm trying to interviewy kind of mum.
Well,
I use mum.
I use the word mum because I was Northumbrian rather than the on the southeast.
And it's really hard to get a birthday card with mum written on it as well. So
Yeah, my husband-
just want to say that. Yes.
As a quick aside, I buy them. I scratch the U off, and I put
there's like 2 of them in the shop. I'm like, the mum. Northeast, there should be loads of mum cards, you know. Anyway, sorry.
For the merch.
That's one for the mum. Where's me mum? Me mum.
Me mum.
It is me mum. Where's me mum?
It is me mum.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
But that's very.
That's very Irish as well, isn't it? Me mum.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And mammy.
Yeah.
Mammy.
But they say I'm Irish and they say mammy sometimes. Well, for me, mine was a mum, and she was a really good cook, like traditional farmer's wife cook. But she wasn't big into puddings because she used to make rice pudding, which was lovely. We liked rice pudding. She did or sponge puddings. She did proper wholesome food.
Yeah.
But we always had meat and 2 veg.
Okay.
Effectively.
Like every day, yeah.
Every meal.
Yeah.
And so we grew up not knowing what other food was like. So it was a revelation the first time I went into a Chinese restaurant. It was just, I went off to university and I went into a Chinese restaurant and I tasted lemon chicken or something. And I thought, the taste buds were like, wow, what is this?
So what was pizza like? When was the first time you had pizza then? Because that must have been another one.
Well, I think that was once when we went to Italy and we had a pizza and I was just like, wow. And of course I was quite young then. I would be a teenager, so I wasn't allowed the wine with it. And I was just thinking, this is lovely. But the best thing was the homemade pasta. We went on a holiday to Venice, I think it was, Mum and Dad. And we were all the way from Berwick Station in the train. And we slept on the train. We had we got a couchette from wherever it was, just over the water. We went all the way down from Berwick. We had to change trains, go down to Dover or whatever, and then we got to Bologna, I think it was, got in this couchette. We had to go through Switzerland and everything, and we got to Venice, and it was fabulous. And we stayed in this family-run hotel. It was quite a long time ago, and they did fantastic cooking. So every night we got a different pasta dish. And I'd never had pasta before. It was like, oh my word, this is amazing.
Yeah.
It was, and I fell in love with Parmesan. I really loved, from then onwards, loved Parmesan, black pepper.
At the table, putting it on the food at the table. Yeah.
And it was, and then the other thing that I fell in love with, and I did have a taste of this, is we were going around on the they're not punts, are they? The gondolas in Venice. And Mum and Dad said, well, we'll have a picnic, because my mum and dad were very frugal. And they would say, well, we can't wait. So on this trip, we took picnics everywhere. We would have our meal in the evening, but we took picnics everywhere. So they got gorgonzola cheese, and they had sparkling wine, and I had some apples, and they had gorgonzola cheese, focaccia bread. And then I had a glass of this, like, fizzy wine. Dad said, you could have a taste, because we were on holiday. Oh, I fell in love. Gorgonzola cheese, apple, and bread. Isn't that a fabulous combo
Yeah, it
with
is.
a little bit of
You
fizzy
see,
wine?
I get that. Yeah.
It is. It's a nice introduction as well, isn't it?
It's lovely. And I tasted, that was when I first tasted fizzy wine.
Yeah.
And
Was
then
it
I've been
Prosecco?
lost.
Wait, was it
yeah, it
what?
was,
Yeah.
I think it was almost like Asti type. It was, my mum liked sweet types of wine, so that would be sweeter than I would have. And I just thought, wow. And then you got proper Italian ice cream as well. And then we had these, and the gelato. And you're thinking, really like this. I'll come back to Italy. And, so your association, and that was to me, that was a great holiday, but it's all round food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've got another one that was, we went to Switzerland. Now, my parents met when they were on holiday. They started dating when they were in Switzerland. Just after the war, they went on this road trip. My dad went to help to look after the car with my mum's brother, knew my dad. And so there was, I think, 5 women, and there was my Uncle Walter and my dad, because Dad was going to actually help look after the car because he was into road transport. So, and they had so many stories. So we went on holiday to Switzerland and we had the biggest laughs. And it was great fun because every year we had to almost like go to, as a little, we must go to Chateau de Chillon. And that's obviously where the romance started. I don't know exactly. Didn't ask too many questions. But it was, we've got to go to Chateau de Chillon and we'll have a look, and we would have picnics there. But one of the other things that we did on this holiday was there was a funicular railway and close to where we were staying, and every night we would go on this funicular railway right up to the top of the mountain and have strawberries and cream and ice cream. And from having frugal parents, when they were allowing you to do this every night, it was like, oh my word, this is amazing. So now, if I have the combo of strawberries, ice cream, and cream, I remember a whole
Takes you back there. Yeah.
It's just phenomenal. And I don't even know where this funicular railway was.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
Isn't that interesting that you've got, your link is to the strawberries. And you can.
It's incredible.
That's what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
It's a memory of the food. It's fantastic.
Really funny because the other thing is, you talk about we had the meat and veg, and Mum was always, she was a really good cook. Her casseroles tasted like nobody else's. Her roast dinners were absolutely amazing. I think I can beat her at Yorkshire puddings, I have to say. But she didn't do puddings. So it was just very basic. But it was lovely, and that's your comfort food. But the other thing was, we used to go on, we'd never had fish because Mum didn't buy fish because she wasn't from the sea, whereas my husband grew up in Blyth, so he had a lot of fish. Okay. So when we're talking about childhood, we've got very different ways. So my memory of fish and chips was always when we were coming home occasionally we'd be coming home from Edinburgh and we'd call in at Pathhead to the fish and chip shop. So I always thought fish and chips were really soggy and they were doused in vinegar and you got soggy, greasy fish and chips. And it was a revelation to me when I realised that champagne goes really well with fish and chips and it cuts through the grease. And I just think, isn't that incredible that you can really, they're not soggy and they don't have to be, even fish and chips out of a paper can be amazing if you had to have them with a glass of wine or champagne.
It's a recurring theme, fish and chips.
Absolutely. And the best place to eat them, as you do know, is the beach. We've been known to go with our deck chairs, those folding out deck chairs type with the thing, and take the dogs, have a glass of fizz, a bottle of fizz, because the cork comes out easily if it's fizz, and you buy your fish and chips at Amble, you sit in the beach, the dogs are pottering around, especially on a wintry day where there's nobody around. Yeah. And it's a fabulous way to spend an evening. Yeah. We did that kind of thing in COVID. COVID.
Yes, you told us about this. I was really hoping that you'd bring this up. I remember that.
Yeah.
It was just
a great story,
brilliant.
Yeah, because we never had we heard of the fizz and chips?
I think you might have. No, I think you ignited that conversation in us. That's why we wanted to get you on the podcast. Yeah, because we started this conversation back at the distillery, and then since then we've had 2 guests on.
Yeah, and they love
Amy
fizz and
from
chips.
AAA Food Tours. You'll know. And that came up, fish and chips, and then we had Richard Coleman from Coleman Seafood.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
We talked about fish and chips with him as well.
Yeah,
lovely.
yeah.
But even sometimes even a sauve blanc and chips on the beach, it tastes so much nicer if you're at the seaside. I love fish and chips at sea houses, Amble,
Yeah.
down at the
Yeah.
southeast coast like Coleman's. You just think, oh, this is proper fish and chips, and you smell the sea air. It's sort of something amazing about it.
We were at the beach yesterday and we walked past multiple fish and chip shops, and you cannot beat the smell of fish and chips. It just just gets you, doesn't it? You go,
It does.
But having it there and then at the beach, I don't know, that's the best time to have anything. I think on your knee, on the sand, on a bench. I think that's the best time, isn't
And
it?
you've got to have it, you've just got to sit there with your feet in the sand,
Yeah.
your toes, and you're just relaxing with your deck chair or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, isn't this a great way to spend time?
It is. It's
No, we were going to do
spontaneous
this
moment.
off-site, this podcast.
Yeah.
You've got to take it to the beach. Yeah. I don't like the seagulls, I have to say.
I was going to bring it up. We've got some, you see the Raji seagulls, we call them on that picture there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
Because I have got a memory, a negative memory of trying my best to have a remotely romantic day out. Actually, it was not romantic. It was with my son and my partner. My son was probably about 3 or 4 years old, and we were determined to go to South Shields for a day. It was like bank holiday or something, but it was an awful day. It was really windy. It was raining. We were still like, we'll just do it. We've got to try and do it.
Well, you're forcing fun on the deal, yeah.
Forcing fun on the day.
You can't force
But we
fun.
went along Sands Beach and we sat there, and there was sand blowing everywhere. Seagulls were swooping down. It was it went from idyllic to like almost like nightmarish, where the seagulls were pulling stuff out the bins and like, are we really doing this?
Drop your gravy.
Enjoy your chips.
Half your fishes on the floor. Aye.
I bought them for you. You're going to enjoy them.
It's nice. It's nice.
But the spontaneous moments are the best ones. It's kind of not forced. You know what's going to happen, but just don't think about it too much. And I think that's when you're going to enjoy it, because everything you've just said has just happened.
Yeah.
You've never experienced it before, and it just happened. And then you've got that memory, and then you go, oh, that was one of the best things I've ever done,
So I'm going to go back to what we talked about with the COVID thing, because then didn't you mention that you were doing some pretty mean cooking through lockdown?
we did,
and
we
sending
did.
it to family members.
Well, I decided that I was going to use everything out of my freezer. So I had a big chest freezer, and I thought, well, I'm going to get to the bottom of this before we start restocking it. And we had some amazing food, actually, because you just had, sometimes you take something out of the freezer and sometimes the label would be off and you think, well, what exactly is it? But you work it out. And I did some really nice, like slow cooked lamb and things like this, because I'm thinking, oh, well, we'll use the shoulder and we'll slow cook it. And we had a lot of fun because at the time we were working, you weren't meant to be seeing anybody, and we'd have a big house and a big garden. So we were working with people who had alpacas on the farm, and they couldn't get people to help, and I was holding the alpaca and they were injecting them or whatever. And then we would put tables outside. So we would have our table, and then we would have another table for Jackie and Joe, and they would come with a washing up bowl full of their crockery and their cutlery and everything. And I would cook something and put it in another table, and we would share it. So they would use their implements, and then they would take all of their stuff away. And I'm thinking, isn't this ridiculous? Because I'm actually holding an animal for you to inject, and we're not allowed to sit at the same table. And my daughter came one day and she said, this is not right. And she got an umbrella and she was going, you're not supposed to come any closer to me than this. And I'm going, oh my Lord. But the other thing that we did was we had some Zoom family meals. And because you just try to be creative. So I made haggis pie.
Remember this conversation?
Haggis pie
yeah.
and whiskey sauce. So haggis, you make the haggis, and then I put on turnip, neeps, and then potatoes, and then you make a whiskey and onion sauce. So I made these to give to all my children and had to leave them on the doorstep so that we could all eat together. And then and then have a bit of chat as we're eating. Again, I give them instructions.
Leave them, then go back, and then jump on the Zoom, and then do that.
They had to come and collect them, or I left them at their doorsteps. And then we had to say that tonight we're going to eat this. And another night we went up to Turnbull's, which is our local butcher, fabulous butcher. I love Turnbull's. And I bought some lamb shanks, and they had them done in bags with vegetables. So they had their instructions on them. So I got them for each child and said, come on, we're going to have another family meal. And we did things like that. And you did creative things in COVID, didn't you? That were a lot of fun and a lot of laughs.
Yeah, family quiz.
Yeah, family quizzes. Yeah, we had them.
Yeah, I just remember teaching 2 children across a kitchen table, and that wasn't fun. So yeah, I'm not going to talk about mine. I didn't have any fun at all. So yeah,
Should we do lockdown again for you?
No,
sorry,
definitely not. No,
my mother was still alive then, and she lived in a granny flat attached to us, so she was part of us. And my nephew he was living on his own, so he came to live with us. My daughter came back from university, and there was Alan and myself. And then, so we had 5 in the house, and the dogs have never been walked as much, but we did have a lot of fun because Granny was absolutely hilarious all the time, because she would say, I'll not have any wine because I'll be away with the fairies. And what we didn't know at the time was because she probably had 2 gin and tonics before she came out at 4 o'clock. And we would be having a glass of wine, and we'd think, well, you are away with the fairies anyway. And we thought she was getting dementia. Which I think there was a little bit of it. But we had the biggest laughs ever because we sat outside. The first lockdown was quite incredible because you could sit outside in the garden till whatever time of night. And we had a bit of a giggle, but we all put on weight as we waded our way through the freezer and all of these things that we didn't know were in it. I'd been making soup, and I would say, well, we've got to use all this up. And some of the things I wasn't even that keen on, but I'm thinking we've got to eat it because I'm quite, been brought up frugal parents. You've got this don't waste not, want not attitude. But we had a lot of laughs. And then during lockdown, we would, every week I would go up to Turnbull's, and I would have the greatest chats to Mark Turnbull. And I think he would be so used to people complaining or something. And I was telling them, well, we've ordered this for Ad Gefrin. And I think he thought, what is she on about? Because that was the time that we were actually trying to get the grant funding, and we were trying to get all of the building things in place and get tenders, and we were really excited about what we were creating, but we couldn't really do much because, I was working from home, Chris was working from home, and occasionally Chris and I used to meet up for coffee in Alnwick and walk with our cup of coffee round the cemetery. And I mean, what a great place to go to have a business meeting.
Dodgy deal.
Meet you in the cemetery. That's full.
What were we doing? But we were talking about walking either side of the road from the cemetery so that we could talk and say, have you looked at this? Have you looked at this?
Sounds like a gangster film meeting.
I was just seeing that.
In the end.
You've been thinking about something all these years, and then COVID hits, and it makes it really hard to execute. Yeah. And then you've got the Ukraine war, and that made everything much more difficult.
Yeah, especially building materials.
Oh, well, there was only 2 places that you could get the steel for our building. One was Ukraine, and the other was Russia.
Yeah.
So the costs escalated, and you're thinking, I can't believe this is happening to me, but it did, and we've survived.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
It is. Do you know when you opened? Because you made quite a big deal of the copper stills and everything coming in. I've seen the pictures of how well received it was by the town. Was there just like everybody from Muller come out to watch what was going on?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was really exciting, actually, because when we announced in 2018, we did quite a lot of work with the local community, and we sort of announced it so that people knew that it was going to happen. It wasn't like just putting a little bit of a notice on this side of the bit railings or anything. So we just sort of did this big announcement, and I'll never forget that I wanted the local paper, the Northumbrian Gazette, to have a coup, to have a proper story that nobody else had had. Because so often it's mentioned in the journal or it's mentioned in the national press, and then they come to the party the next week and it's not the same. So we said, well, we're not going to announce until the Thursday. All of the news was embargoed till the Thursday, but we spoke to all of the local papers and national press and whatever, and we had the Northumbrian Gazette guy, and I was talking to him in our little shop in Wooler, and I was saying, this is what we're going to do. And I was telling him, and he was saying, that's amazing, and he was writing loads down. And at the end of the interview, I said to him, do you think we'll make it to the front page? And he looked at me really earnestly and he went, Eileen, unless Alnwick Castle burns to the ground, you're definitely going to be on the front page. And we were on lots of other pages. And he was so serious.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, he must think it's a good idea. And we started on the Monday telling people before the Thursday. And, we started off at Lord Joyce's because we thought, well, we better go and tell the Lord of the area that this is what we're going to do in his patch. And I was really nervous. And so my husband must have been really nervous as well, because we went in my car and it was just a new car and it was a plug-in hybrid and you couldn't hear it. So Alan actually left it running. Because it was like all the time we were in Eastle Manor. And I said, Alan, you've left my car running. And he said, oh, I know. And I thought, I didn't realise you were so nervous because he said that would be an okay idea. We suddenly thought, oh, it's not so mad after all. Mm-hmm. And it just went from there. And people really engaged with us. And we had nobody complaining or saying they didn't want it to happen. So we made a point of getting in touch with the schools and things, because I had it in my head that whenever I spoke to anybody about when new distilleries open, had they made a difference to the town? And they all go, oh yeah, it has. We've seen footfall increase. It's been better for local traders, etc. So I'd actually done a little bit of research into this. And I thought, I wonder if any of the kids saw the stills coming in, because wouldn't it be amazing if they could, when they're my age, say to their grandchildren, I remember the days the stills came and I thought, well, that would be really incredible. So I started to talk to the schools, and all of the schools said, yeah, and even like the high school said the kids from Wooler could have the morning off as long as they went to watch. And it was really so emotional. I can still cry, actually.
I get it.
Because it was so incredible.
Because only do that when like the king comes to town or the queen.
Well, I think when the stills came.
Yeah, when the stills came.
We had it all. We got them and we parked them up at Norman Oliver's at Eccles, a fellow holier. So they were parked on there on the night before so that they could do a procession. Mm. And my daughter was driving one of the trucks because in COVID she trained as a truck driver because she was working in politics and she wasn't really enjoying it. And I said, well, you can't not work. And she's trained as a truck driver. So the pride of seeing her and all of the people, she came up the high street, the other guy driving the truck, it was very emotional for me because he'd worked for my father for all his life. So he'd worked from the age of 16 and had only had one employer, which was Redpaths, which was then taken over by Ferguson. So he was something like 66. And we said, well, you can't retire until after the stills come. I'm really sorry, but we want you to drive it because you're from Wooler. Mm-hmm. So that gave him identity. He was part of the story. And then Naomi was born when we lived just along the road. So she was part of the story. And she was a woman. Mm-hmm. And she's a little slender young lass. And people were shouting, it's a lassie driving. And I was just, I was so proud. Yeah. And I cried when I saw her,
I bet.
And Jake, the driver of the truck, he's obviously known me for a long, long time. And he went, Eileen, don't say anything. Or don't say anything.
You're going to set me off. You're going to set me off.
Because he was so emotional. Yeah. Because
I'm going to get emotional now.
all of his contemporaries were there watching, and people were coming up, and it was like a carnival. And you're thinking, isn't this incredible?
Was that like a moment for you to realise how important that what you were doing was in that community, or had that already come?
That was the first time I realised how important it was. Yeah. And Lord Joycey was there again, and he came and gave me a hug. He says, look what you've done for Wooler already. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh, wow, I'm getting thanked for something that was just a vision. Yeah. And I think that the most poignant thing in this story, and this is really emotional, is that we'd just come home we'd been at a wedding in Canada. And we'd just come home a couple of days before. And when I'd gone, my father was in a home and he wasn't very well. And he said, I might not be alive when you come home. And I went, you will be, Dad. you'll be fine, because he was always telling me that he was 96, and he was always telling me this. So I went the first night I got home. I think the stills were coming on the Thursday, so we got home on the Tuesday morning, went to see Dad on the Tuesday, and he wasn't very well at all. He'd gone downhill. I thought, oh my word. And I phoned my siblings and said, Dad's not really very well. And on the Wednesday I said, now look, Dad, whatever you do, don't be your usual awkward self, because I'm not going to answer my phone between now and tomorrow lunchtime. So don't die in the interim, because I'll not be able to go. And the most amazing thing happened was everybody, and I said to everybody when I went there, I said, don't ask me how my father is. I don't want to talk about it. And all of this was going on. And we were meant to be going somewhere in the evening. And I said to Alan, I'm not going. I'm going to go and see my dad. And I went down, spent the afternoon with him. And we chatted, and I told him all that had happened, and I let him hear the clips of videos and what's on social media. And I know that he was understanding, and he was just shaking his head as if to say, oh. When I told him that Naomi driven up the high street, and he just really thought that I'd made it up, and he went as if to say, you stupid girl. Nobody drives an Arctic up the high street. And I went, she did, Dad, she did, Dad. And I let him listen to all the music. And that night, he just grabbed our hands, and he didn't want us to go. And then I said, we're going to go. And he said, no, stay. So we stayed. And then when we were ready to go, when he was ready for us to go, we left, and he just grabbed our hands and squeezed them. And then the next morning I got a phone call to say he was not responding, and he'd gone unconscious at 7:45 in the morning. And it was like he gave us his blessing. It was quite poignant. It was like... Yeah. I'm going to grip your hand, Eileen, and Alan's, because Wooler was the centre of his universe, as I said earlier. And he realised that it was going to continue to be the centre of somebody's.
Yeah.
And it's become the centre of mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was quite emotional.
Sorry.
It's mad how these things happen.
Yeah.
That moment.
And now I go into Ad Gefrin, and I just think he would have loved it.
Yeah.
Because he loved people. I'm like him, and he loved people, and he would talk to you. If he was here, he would know everything there was to know. He would be asking you questions, and he would remember.
Yeah.
And he knew people all over the place. He was awkward. From a family member's point of view, he was a really awkward old codger, but he was really interested.
Yeah. That's great. I love that.
Yeah. I'd rather add that story. It's really, really incredible. Honestly, incredible.
Yeah.
And then when he died, we realised that he had a scrapbook full of everything that had ever been written about Ad Gefrin. But he told me off, because he said, I don't know how you do it, because it was always, you're going to run out of money, which could still happen. This is going to be wrong. And he would never tell me to my face. But then we found this scrapbook.
Because he's proud of what you're doing.
Yeah, but he wouldn't tell you.
Background. Yeah.
It was quite incredible.
It just shows that how much he cared about it.
Yeah. And he cared about, his roots were in Wooler. And he wanted that to continue. And it's all about, and the people who, we regularly see people coming in day after day after day. And a lot of these people who my father would have known, or would have known of my father, they come in regularly, and it's become quite a little hub for people who want to sit and have coffee and scones in the morning, or they come in for whatever, and they sit at the fire. And I think, it served a purpose already.
100%.
It's because it's a great space to be.
Yeah. It's got so much more depth to what you've done.
About that, but we need to talk about the stories at some point separately.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, you don't need to apologise. It's just a lot to process. It's just so it's sad that your dad passed, but that process of him blessing and that sense of purpose and I guess poignancy and everything that must have come from that moment of thinking, this is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
No matter how hard it is, this is the right thing to do.
And that we made him proud.
Yeah.
And that was amazing, because I'm sure he would have been proud. And I'm sure he was. But to me, it's just like, I sometimes think, well, I did it for him. And we've called the stills. One is called Nancy, after my mum, and the other one is Ruth, after my aunt, because it was Redpath Brothers Limited, and there was my uncle and my dad were running it. And you just think, they live on. because that's a legacy, and that's what we've given, is we want it just to live on. And we've given something back to a town that had no investment, as I say, for generations, and we've given them a reason to keep going and a place to get together. And it's all about belonging, and we've given them a belonging hub.
You very rarely see us two gobsmacked. Alice, is that true?
Yeah.
But the fact is that, imagine if every single person who walked through those doors knew this. It's just, it's mad to think that, but you couldn't get that across in any conversation. You're almost like you do Matrix. Can you just download my brain and I'll put this story in? And then when you walk through the doors, you understand how important this is. That blows my mind, you know.
About the project is that it's just so, it feels so important, even for a person that's not from Wooler. It just feels like a very important thing that's happening, and how it could set a precedent for other things in a similar way, things that are born of its place.
It is important, and it's important when you think that the Anglo-Saxon history had never been told, and that's a phenomenal story that we've got, that, you know, people knew about the Romans, they knew about the Vikings, but this had been forgotten. And when we announced to the public, I will never forget this one friend of mine who'd been a friend for many, many, many years, and she went, "Eileen, I think the distillery, what a great idea, but where did you get the name?" And I went, "Oh my goodness, it's just along the road." And this is, you know, it was 600, around about the 600 AD and to 800 AD. And you're thinking, this story is pertinent when Northumbria was the biggest kingdom in the land, from the Forth to the Humber, east to west. And this was all about the conversion of from paganism to Christianity. And there's all this story, and this is where we get our laws from, because it's all from the Christianity bit. And it's all of this was really important for our heritage, for everybody in the UK's heritage. And you think, it's never been told.
Yeah, don't get me started on that one, because honestly, it's for the. You look at everything that's happened in the Northeast. So you think about Lindisfarne, you think of the Gospels, and just how pertinent that is to Christianity in Europe, right? Yeah. And that we've just underbaked that story and not told it properly for a long time. And it's incredible.
And, you know, we're very lucky in the Northeast, because we had, I keep thinking, well, we had the different saints, but we had Bede who wrote it down. Yeah. And you know, we had Cuthbert who illustrated the Gospels. We had Aidan walking with the people. And we had Oswald, who was a king after the Ethelbert. The next stage that we look at is Oswald after Edwin and Ethelbert. And, you know, you've got this king who became a saint. And then and you're thinking, it was so important to them. And we just write it out as if it didn't happen, because we didn't have any evidence. And then when they found Yevring or Gefrin, and they found all the artifacts, and at the same time, we have got traders from all over Europe and Northern Africa coming to the Northeast. And you're thinking, nobody ever really knows that, do they? Yeah. Until you delve into it. You know, steep learning curve.
Should be in the curriculum.
Well, it should be. And, you know, we're now telling people the story. I had the privilege yesterday of taking a couple of our friends who hadn't been before. They don't live here. They're down further south. And they just thought the museum was incredible, because they had no idea of the significance of the Northeast in the UK's story. Yeah. It's incredible.
Not one for religion or spiritual or whatever. Do you know, does it not enter your brain sometimes, Eileen, to think that you were meant to do this?
Absolutely. To me, it is something that I think it's been a purpose that I've had. Yeah. And I've had to tell the story, and I hope, you know, we've got a future that we've got to share it. Yeah. Because this is a missing link.
Yeah. This is why you had the idea, why you sat around the table, why you started to do it, why you brought these things together, why that site, your family. All of these things are like, it's a given that you did it. Do you know what I mean? If you look back and put it all together.
Skills. That's the other thing.
I don't know.
Skills. So, you know, you would nobody wanting to start a museum and just would have come to me and
you made it happen, and that's phenomenal, isn't it?
Vision.
I was going to say, how much part of Eileen the Rebel from being young as the part of Eileen now who's made that happen?
That's 80%.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But I think we've also got to be, say, a huge, I've been supported all the way by Alan, and it's Alan as a co-founder as well, because sometimes when it's really hard, Alan has supported and provided, and both of us together we're very different people, but we look at we're a great team. Again, it's a better together thing. And I look at the small details, and I, like all of the decor, and I want this done. And he looks at the big picture, and he's really good in buildings. He loved the building project. He loved when we went up every Friday for 2 years. We would be climbing scaffolding together. What other husband and wife go on top of a building every Friday morning and they chat about what they're doing? And we're doing this together. And it was great because it made us stronger. Yeah. And one couldn't have done it without the other, because you both have to believe that what you're doing is right.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't, it would collapse.
Yeah. But again, it's the memory. You've just implanted that again. The Friday, going up the scaffolding, you're both doing the thing together. It's the same as the food and everything. So,
having your bit of sausage sandwiches afterwards.
I knew there was some food there somewhere.
Sausage sandwich and a cup of tea.
Yeah, sausage sandwich and a cup of tea. Are you red or brown sauce?
I'm red.
Okay.
Every time.
Sauce.
Yeah?
Every time.
Unless that's on bacon, and then I have brown sauce.
Are you bacon on brown? Right, okay.
But if I have sauce at all.
I interchange. You'd probably guess that.
Well, you probably put both on yours, do you? It's madman. Put gravy and curry on chips. I'm not talking. Should we go to the menu?
Yeah, before we go to the menu, very quickly.
Sorry,
Just before we go, I want you to tell me about the products, because we've not really touched on them, because I know it's an important year this year, isn't it, in terms of new products. And we don't usually do product pitches, but I think it's really important.
That's why I was going to the menu. I just like going to what I know.
Well, here we are. Well, this one is Tackenbora, and this is our blend. It's a blend of Irish and Scotch whiskey blended in Northumbrian. And this is because the Anglo-Saxons were a mix of races. They were Scandinavian, Irish, Scottish, and English. So we've put this in together. We call it Tackenbora because that's Anglo-Saxon for standard bearer. So standard bearer, it's the whiskey that comes. Not the whiskey. It was the person who went before the king. And we're saying this is a whiskey that comes before a single malt. Now, next year, we will have a small batch release of single malt, and probably much more the next year, because we started distilling in 2022, right in December 2022. We filled the first casks on the 22nd of December. And we will get some ready for release then, because you've got to hold whiskey for 3 years before you can call it whiskey. So we've started that maturation project. They've started the process. It's going. We're really enjoying working with tasting new make and tasting the different profiles. We may be changing the barrels that they're in to different barrels. But this one here is a blend. And you said you like rye before, and this has got rye. It's got a base of grain and Scotch in it. So that's quite nice, because we've actually... For me, we produced this, the distiller, we said, well, we wanted to have it for an entry-level whiskey that was palatable for everybody to drink. And it's got quite a lot of notes of vanilla and honey, and it's quite smooth whiskey. And it's perfectly gorgeous with ginger.
Same theme, better together.
Yeah, the same theme, and it's better together. We've got the blend of all of the nationalities. So for me, that was a no-brainer. But then, of course, we're going to be producing our own, and it's quite incredible actually, because I'm learning so much, and you learn about how some of the flavors come from the wood. A lot of the flavors come from the wood, and we did a tasting day relatively recently, and I was saying I said afterwards, I'm really not sure about this, because I think I've got quite a good taste. I'm not a blender or anything, but I can taste things. And I was saying they're all over the place. And then I've been reading up about it, and the distiller said, yeah, but you've got to work out how they can combine. And because sometimes a good whiskey has layer upon layer upon layer. It's not just in one. It's not in a one barrel, but you put it in another one. And then I've been reading a lot about the cognac system, élevage, and about how that works. And you think, oh, that's quite nice because they put it in a couple of years in a bourbon cask, then they might have it in a sherry cask, or they might put a little bit in a Madeira. And every time you get a different layer of flavouring.
Never thought about it that
And
way.
it's quite, it's a bit like putting different spices and things in, and herbs and spices. You layer them up and you keep changing the profile.
The knowledge you have to have as a distiller to think like that, to think about the layers ahead of time.
Absolutely. It's
concoctions and risk, isn't it?
Yeah,
Risk as well, isn't it?
you know, I mean, it's not, here we're talking about huge risk here.
Yeah, it's high risk.
Yeah.
It's high risk.
You can't mess it up. Yeah, you can't mess it up. Yeah.
But then, you know, you've got to almost like say, you've got to speak to people who do know what they're doing, because all I can do is tell you that, well, that doesn't taste the same as that. And I said, oh, that's a bit spicy and that one's not. And I was starting to get a little bit worried, and then I've done a bit more, and I'm thinking I'm feeling more comfortable with that, so that's good. And you just realise that everything that's good takes time to mature, and I think even that's the same in life. You know, if we go back to life stories, actually, it's all of the things that happen to you that mature you into the person you are, and it's the same with the whiskey. It's like the longer the whiskey develops, the more flavour. Even funny little things like, do you put it in a cask that's been toasted or charred?
Yeah.
And I didn't know. And then there's different levels of both of those because the different flavours come out. And, you know, we've the other thing that we've done, we released recently another one of these, which had been aged in a cognac cask. And it's delicious. We've got another one coming out that's been aged in another cask. I'm not allowed to say at the moment, but it will be coming out soon. And it's lovely. And the thing that you notice is whenever you put them together, the colour changes by the cask they've been in.
Yeah.
So, you know, the cognac cask is slightly darker. The year before we had one in a rum cask, and then you thought, oh, that's quite nice. Or you put it in an Islay cask and you get a little bit of smokiness. And I'm actually loving this part because I'm so into taste.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah.
And
That
then
was a total education for me, that.
It was
and then
great, yeah.
it's so interesting, you know, to come up and find out about it. And I'm just thinking, I just want to learn more. And had I had my life again, I would have probably done something like that instead of accountancy. Wasn't that a Dutch move?
Yeah, because you could be sitting around in a room going, I think this would go with that. Do you mean you'd be creating your own, wouldn't you? From you know, smokiness and it sounds fantastic. It sounds like a job I'd love to kind of get involved in. Just creating something.
But you can't. But you can do that. You know, sometimes that's part of this discovery thing. We went to this company called Compass Box who do a lot of blending. And they blend fantastic whiskies. You might have heard of like the Spaniard and Spice Tree and things. And I said to Alan as a treat, I said, I'll take you down and we'll go to a Compass Box event one evening. And we did this, and they give you lots of little bits of whiskey and you can blend it to suit your taste. And it was amazing, just a tiny little bit, you know, I've put a tiny little bit of peated in. Now, I thought I didn't like peated whiskey, but a tiny little drop in and it just enhanced the flavour. So we both, but you know, came back with a little sample bottle of our own blend. I had an Eileen blend and Alan had an Alan blend.
Alan and Eileen, there's the bottles there. Alan and Eileen.
It was just incredible. And you know, that was just when we saw people at these events that were real whiskey buffs, and we were just thinking, well, we're just here to learn. Because I always think, if you want to learn, you just pretend you're clueless and they'll tell you how to do it.
You've got to stay curious, haven't you, as well?
Absolutely.
There's a danger of thinking you know everything.
Yeah. It was great fun. Yeah. So we've also got Thurling's gin, which is our gin, which pairs beautifully with the Franklin's one, as we were saying. And what we've tried to do here is Thurling's is, because we have everything linked. Thurling's was where the servants of the royal household lived in the hamlet of Thurlings. So this is really the support act for the whiskey. It was hoping, because whiskey's a long game that you don't get any reward for it for a long time. So Thurlings was very much, we called it that for being the support act. And we've tried to take botanicals. It's got the obvious botanicals like juniper and things in. But we've tried to go from the Cheviot right down to the coast. So we've got things like pine needles and dill and heather, sea buckthorn, sea moss and elderberries and things. So we've tried to get botanicals that can be found in Northumberland in our, so that it's completely not, it's a Northumbrian
That's a beautiful
gin.
bottle. And
I
label.
love
the
that
bottle's
bottle.
amazing.
I really do love that bottle.
Do you know what?
On the label.
It is. I love it. Yeah.
These are a replica of what the posts. It was to remind us of the posts when they found Ad Gefrin. They found that there were holes in the ground. That's how it got. That's how it was found, because a plane went over in 1947 and they found that there was actually some holes in the ground. So these post holes would be where the posts for the buildings were from. And then if you turn it upside down, we've got almost like a little grandstand, because they found evidence of a grandstand where it would be an entertainment grandstand. So that people would be sitting in a grandstand.
It's great, isn't it?
And we love that bottle.
I love it.
And I use it for things like, I've got candles. I've got some around the house and I have candles in them. And I love the label, so I don't take the label off.
It's lovely,
because I think it's lovely. Or you put flowers in it. It's lovely with a little bit, few bits of heather. Or, I use it for multiple things. So I've got one of my daughters has put some sparkly lights in, just the battery lights.
Yeah, repurpose.
Yeah, we do that as well.
Yeah, and you just think it's
great.
It's good.
It's like one of those bottles you find in the field when you were a kid.
It's gorgeous. Yeah, it is.
You don't want to throw it out. That's the thing.
No, definitely not. That's lovely.
Although I keep wondering if there's a more sustainable way so that people could buy the one with the bottle and then I've put them in something that more recyclable.
The top up.
Yeah,
like a refill sort of thing.
Yeah, and I've seen some of those like paper type ones.
Yes, I've seen them.
Okay.
And I was sort of saying, I sent them. I'm always on the next thing, and I was sort of thinking, I wonder what we can do to make it like that.
Yeah, because I've seen there's a few wine brands now doing paper bottles.
The pop man. Go collecting back the bottles.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
And you refill them all, recycle
Man,
them.
Eileen.
Yeah,
do you
we
remember?
did, yeah. At South Road, Dad used to get them from work. And can you remember that you used to have to take them back and they used to come?
Yeah.
And cream soda, did you?
Cream soda, man. Cream soda, yeah.
It's one of our questions.
Yeah.
Because we always remember we all had a different pop man. We had Sykes, I think.
We had Alpine.
I can't remember what
They
we
all had
had, but
different
I just
names.
like cream soda.
Yeah. Because that's the first time you had something like that when it got dropped off at your house. We got this pineapple aid and cream soda. Never had that until that. Cherry
aid. I love cherry aid.
Oh, for me, we've had a whole section of a podcast talking about cherry flavored things. And cherry flavored things taste much better than a cherry.
Oh,
it's the intensity. Do you know what I mean? It's the intensity of the
I was
cherry
going to say,
flavour,
a couple of weeks ago, we got some cherries. They're spot on.
Good. Well, you must have the best ones.
I had some this morning, actually. I love cherries, and I take the stone out. I've got one of those stoner things. And I had cherries on my yogurt this morning, and they were really juicy.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what I did have for lunch. I had some strawberries right out of the garden, and they were still warm. I had 8 strawberries. Wow, that is to
it's my pet hate if someone puts strawberries in the fridge.
They were lovely.
Out the garden when they've got that warmth in them.
Did you not shut your eyes and pretend you were back on holiday when you were a kid?
Oh, I just tasted these strawberries, and I was standing in I just was getting ready to come out, and I just went, I'm going to have some strawberries. Oh, they were just divine.
So the yogurt, what else did you have in there? I'm textures now. I'm getting into this.
I had strawberries, raspberries, cherries, not my own strawberries. These ones are the strawberries that I'd bought, and a little bit of granola.
Oh, so you got to have the crunch in there, yeah. I was just wondering what the crunch is going to be, yeah. Okay, all right, nice.
So that was delicious.
Yeah.
And a cup of tea. It's got to be.
Perfect morning brew. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, I'm certainly in. And we've got another bottle there, haven't we? You think
Flight to our list is this one. Everybody loves this. This is
Alice has had a shot already.
Alice has. Did you like it, Alice?
It's bloody lovely.
Yeah. We're filming this at 8 p.m. by the way.
Bloody lovely. We came in, yeah. It's all right. Alice doesn't drive. She can drink it all.
It's lovely. It's really lovely. And it's whiskey cream. And this has got some of our Tackenbora in it.
Ooh.
And it says on the thing, it says there are several other makes of whiskey cream, but this one doesn't taste synthetic at all. It tastes quite creamy. Yeah. And it says that you've got to keep it in a fridge for it'll keep for 6 months. But I would defy anybody to be able to keep it for 6 months.
It's going to last 6 months.
In our fridge, it doesn't last much more than 6
Christmas,
hours.
Isn't it?
Depends how many people are in. But if you can manage to get it 6 days, you're doing well. And I just think it's fabulous in creme brulee or creme anglaise.
I was just going to say, you mentioned that. I'm going to try it with the tiramisu.
It will be.
There's some nods here because you mentioned...
You get that tiramisu with that would be awesome, wouldn't it?
It would be.
Fabulous, yeah.
Talking
Well,
I accept the challenge. I'll bring it in next time.
Whiskey-related foods. Do you know what I mean? Because you're talking about the haggis pie with the whiskey sauce, and then the creme brulee with the,
I put
the tiramisu with the thing.
Since we started this, I've said that I really like cooking, and I used to often put wine and things in, and and then when we've started the distillery, I thought, well, I've got to start experimenting with whiskey, and I quite often put whiskey in instead of white wine. I'll just put a tablespoon of whiskey in to say like something like a pasta dish, or lovely with salmon. You make an orange and whiskey sauce with salmon. It's delicious with your asparagus. It's quite summery. It's lovely. You can put it into custards. I love these kind of things. Creme brulees, custards. It just enhances them. It's lovely, and we do a really good one at Ad Gefrin with actually the whiskey in. But this one, Alan and I were down in Sussex when we were collecting the award. We stayed a few days extra, and we went to this wonderful restaurant called Chalk, which is on Wiston Estate, and they do sparkling wine. Well, they do English wines, which was really interesting. So we were staying down there, and we said, oh, well, we'll eat in the restaurant one night. So as I always do, we always take a carload of things wherever we go. We would take them and we let them have samples. And I said to the barman, would you like to try this? And he said, oh yeah. And he went away and he made me an espresso martini with brulee, creme brulee, on the top. He'd whisked this up, and it was all brown on the top. It was to die for.
Like,
and I said,
all
why
things
have you
that I
given me
like.
this at the beginning of the meal? Because he said, I'll just go and have a little practice. He says, I've got an idea. And he came back and I took a photo of it, and it was absolutely
That is brilliant.
divine.
That's great, isn't it?
An espresso martini with a
Just give me too many culinary ideas for the weekend.
So you see,
I've got to make that pie. In fact, we should try and get the lads around the corner to do that pie.
Proper pie.
Do a cola, but I'd Gefrin and proper.
absolutely.
Yeah, get that haggis pie.
Aye, yeah.
Wouldn't it?
Haggis and whiskey pie.
And it's just, you can introduce spirits as wine, almost like just with a little bit, a little bit less. And you and then it means that, particularly if I've been trying to watch my weight or anything, and I'm dreadful because if you open a bottle of wine to cook your risotto or whatever, you just drink
you have
the
to.
rest, don't you? It would be rude not to.
Risotto doesn't taste the same if you don't.
And then,
should ask Nick Barnes that.
and then, so you just put a little bit of whiskey in because you think, well, I'm having a teetotal week or whatever, and you think, I'll put a little bit of whiskey in, and you get the flavour release. But
You just reminded me, actually. Yes. We used to make, in my restaurant, a risotto with salmon, haggis, and whiskey.
Oh, well, that sounds
forgotten about
nice.
that.
Salmon and haggis. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. Salmon and haggis was really good in risotto.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Sorry.
Wow,
Can't remember
that sounds
Totally
like
forgot about that.
my thing.
It was a
Flashback memory, yeah. Flashback memory.
Great.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Ooh,
Yeah.
give that a go again.
Yeah.
Just off 20-year-old recipe.
Well, but they're the best. Sometimes the best. It's quite nice to revisit.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, I was just talking to a friend this week, and I was saying, she was saying it's really difficult because I'm thinking of something new to cook every day. And I say, well, it is, but every time you think of something new, it becomes your norm. And then you forget about the old ones. So we've just got to keep revisiting the old.
Reinvent, of course, by just changing a little bit of something.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, of course. Experiment. I love the fact that you do it though. You'll risk it.
Yeah.
You'll go, let's
But why
try
not?
this.
Well, it's not going to kill you.
I'm all in. Yeah, I'm on your page completely. Yeah, brilliant. Love it.
And I just think I love tinkering with food and taste,
Yeah.
and it's really good.
Okay. I haven't even reached the questions yet.
Right.
Oh,
So
I'm sorry. Have I been talking?
No,
far too long?
not at all.
perfect. Pick anything off there. We'll do the Greg's order last.
We all say they're up for interpretation.
Yeah.
So what have I got to do? I've got
You
to
can
do.
take anything from that menu anywhere that takes your fancy, because some people go start at the starters, some people start at the mains, some people start at the desserts.
So
Well,
basically,
we've already talked about the pot man.
We've talked about the pot man, so that's good. We can scratch that one off. So
so-
you see how these intermingle
that's
with the
picky,
conversation. So yeah.
Afters, hot and cold. I would always have a hot dessert.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely dessert. For me, it's a dessert thing. So apple crumble, make cold ice cream. It's the hot and cold combos.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For me, I love apple crumble, rhubarb crumble, any crumble. I really like fruit. I'm not a chocolate person.
All right.
I don't mind a little bit of chocolate, but I would, if there's a fruit dessert, I would always have it. And I love a crumble with ice cream.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have hot custard.
I wouldn't either. No, my wife
isn't it
does.
funny?
What's your preference again, Chris?
Why are you frowning at me?
I'm not calling
You are, you're frowning at me.
This has just been the natural face.
I like,
Sorry, scratching this week.
I like a bit of cold custard.
Cold custard.
Oh,
not
creme
cold.
anglaise.
I like
cold
cold
custard.
custard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cold
I do
custard.
like
See,
cold
that's
custard.
different, isn't it? It's when you add the hot and the hot, but I just something lovely about that hot thing, and then you just dip in that ice cream, and you got everything on the spoon, and it's perfect, and all the textures and the flavors, and you got the temperatures. Oh, it's perfect, though, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah,
Absolutely.
So that's why I went in with the breakfast choice of the yogurt, because you can tell by what you're putting in it is to kind of the taste buds of everything else that you eat as well, I think. And
Although I would never have matched a cup of tea with yogurt and granola.
I would.
Would you?
Yeah,
Oh, I love
I used to
have black tea.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you do black tea? Yeah. Okay.
Like
Particular type of tea?
English breakfast.
Just breakfast.
Any brands that you
preference?
prefer?
Yorkshire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always Yorkshire.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm even fussy about the water I make it with.
Okay.
You know
You
that?
have to be.
Because at
Do you
home-
filter the water, then put it in the kettle?
Well, I would if I lived in a normal place, but I live on a farm and we don't have water that's got any chlorine in. And I went to my daughter's house last week, and she lives in Cramlington, and had a cup of tea, and I thought, oh, I can taste chlorine in this. And she
Really?
was, oh,
Yeah.
Mum.
I love it.
But that's
Yeah.
just the way I am. Well,
Yeah.
I could taste it because it's lovely if you get it right.
Because you're used to not having it in.
Yeah.
And then when you have it in, then you can
You
sense
really
it.
taste it.
Yeah.
I have to admit, actually, this is it's a confession. Because we talk about Ringtons all the time. And I still buy from Ringtons because they do doorstep to our
Yeah.
street.
I use Ringtons.
Well, I have to admit, I bought some Yorkshire tea a few weeks ago.
Oh,
love
if I've run
I
out
tell
of
you what, the breakfast tea,
It's lovely.
it's the depth of colour, builder's tea level.
Yeah.
It went
Yeah.
orange within it.
Yeah, it's
A couple of
really,
seconds.
it is. You don't have to waggle the tea bag
Yeah, it
around.
was
No.
impossible to make a weak cup of tea
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah, testament, because that's what I used to get. Now the Ringtons, now I'm hooked into Ringtons, and it's always the gold as well. But if I
Gold's
run
good.
out, I've got to go Yorkshire Gold. Everything, I don't get in it. Plus, I'm a 2-bag cup person.
How are you?
Gets the stewing going
Yeah,
quicker
it will.
than a single bag. So it's gotta be that colour of the bench, Gordon
yeah,
bench.
that's
So
what's
yeah,
big.
Oh, I think it's
But-
got to be
yeah.
it goes
Mine
beyond
is
that,
darker
mate.
because I don't put milk in. But
Yeah,
occasionally I put milk in.
yeah,
Depends how I feel.
Yeah.
It is, see, I'm a rebel always.
yeah.
Tea rebel.
And you mentioned earlier on about biscuits dunking. Would you dunk a biscuit? And what biscuit is that you're going to dunk?
I would. Dunking a biscuit reminds me of my grandma,
Okay.
and I'd dunk a rich tea or a digestive.
I love a rich tea, you know. I do.
Oh, man, you're dicing with death though with a rich tea, because that's how, well,
Yeah,
you're
you've got to eat
in
it,
and
you've got
out
in and out
quick.
pretty
Yeah, it
quickly.
has to get to the
Well,
face
and
fast.
it ruins the
Yeah.
tea. I mean, there's no going
If you
back
get a
from
bit,
it.
you
if you
gotta
get a
fish it
bit
out.
in it,
40
it's
bits.
awesome.
Yeah.
I completely agree, but you
Yeah.
get adept at it, don't
You
you?
don't see them very often, but I remember Rich Tea doing a dark chocolate version of Rich Tea.
Oh, I can't
I
remember
do.
them.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
there was something
Very
else.
nice. I like dark
You
chocolate.
could dunk them.
You
Then
don't
they would
then,
get
but you got
runny,
your
yeah.
melty kind of melty chocolate comes into the
Well,
tea.
I added a few seconds on, like you had a bit
Yeah.
more time.
I think as a kid you try everything. You go through the whole gamut of like hobnob. That's got some, ability or stability about it. So
I'm still a biscuit classic man, like I still
Yeah.
have to be honest.
even a shortbread, I don't think dunks well.
No,
'cause
I
it's-
don't
it
think
doesn't really
shortbread doesn't.
doesn't do much there because you're in and out and it doesn't change it. Got to like 10 second it. Yeah.
And then the digestives used to be easy to
Yeah.
dunk as well.
It's a perfect middle ground biscuit to dunk, isn't it?
They just make me think of my grandma
Yeah.
all the time.
Hey, well, that's
Digestives
me.
all the time.
Yeah.
And isn't that lovely?
Yeah, it is. She had a tin. A
Tin.
digestive tin
Yeah.
that they used to hand out. I don't know, in the 90s or
Never
whatever
had
it was.
pockets in the house.
Never
Never,
had
had pockets in the house. And also had the lid with a shaker in the kind of.
Yeah.
I think it
Oh,
kept,
this
it
was
kept
a
it dry,
digestive.
didn't it? Yeah.
This was a digestive tin.
Oh, really?
Branded, everything, with a shaker
Yeah,
at
I
the
think
top.
I've seen
was
them.
always
Yeah,
next
It's like a
I think we
cylinder.
might still have it in the family somewhere.
Ours is always next to the bread bin. My mum still got a biscuit tin. Yeah.
That's
Love
good.
it.
Isn't it lovely that you've got that tradition?
But it is. But even we're talking about, we've got like a shortbread tin up there. That's like needles and sewing kits and all sorts. You just repurpose the
Absolutely.
shortbread tin.
Well, that's reusing.
Yeah, but it's 25 years old. You still have it. We've still got stuff in the house, So bandages or
Yeah,
sewing
we're
kits.
exactly the same. We must have all just had the same kind of
Yeah,
upbringing.
totally.
We do, yeah.
Is that like frugal that you don't waste anything? So
Well, yeah.
why would you buy a sewing
Yeah,
box
why?
if you can have a tin?
Yeah.
So, but you're not going to throw
biscuits in.
Yeah.
this. It's the same as you're talking about with the bottle. You're not throwing that away. It's a lovely thing. I need to keep this and I'll use it later on. So yeah, it's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So back on the hot and cold before we move on. And you said you prefer fruit-based desserts. What's your favourite?
That would probably be the apple tart tartan. Would be mine with cold creme anglaise, probably. Or
Right,
cold,
okay.
Or
Yeah.
cold ice cream.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It took us a while to come around to a fruit-based dessert, but I got there in the end. And
Yeah.
I think it's one of my go-tos now. Because I was always a sticky toffee pudding lad, but I'm more of a fruit-based.
To be fair, though, tart tartan's pretty close because all the caramelisation.
Ah, yeah,
and
I know.
stuff.
It's close because it's thin as well, isn't it?
You don't get loads of pastry.
No, you
It's
don't.
just like,
But you got to have 2 slices of that.
oh, I know,
Yeah,
easily.
It's too thin, isn't it?
It's
Keep the
thin.
little skillet.
Yeah. But
Oh, yeah. And a fork and a big dollop of ice cream in the middle. Just
absolutely.
eat it out of the pan.
There's a favourite restaurant that we've got that I had in the South of France when we've had a house down there and we used to go regularly. And Shona, one of my daughters, and I would share a tart tartan every time, and it was like, well, we'll have one and it's big enough for 2. And I would say, well, would anybody else like them? And Shona and I would just keep eating. It's always lovely.
It was like,
Nice memory.
I think back in the dating times with when my wife and we were dating, girlfriend, boyfriend, we did all of that. Let's get a big dessert. And we always shared. It was always 2 spoons.
Yeah.
Always 2 spoons. You want for a 3 course, can we have a dessert? 2 spoons. Every single time, 2 spoons.
My husband, but now then he starts ordering things like sticky toffee pudding that I'm not as keen on.
Okay.
See, and I
There's
just
a
think,
tactic there, that.
Yeah.
There is.
Are you sure? I thought you liked it.
know,
I didn't know.
yeah. Make sure it's hot, because she doesn't like the combination. That's good. That's good. Let's go one more, and then we'll go Greg's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, what takes you fancy? We've done quite a few on there. I'm quite impressed.
Yeah.
We've peppered those in across
So
the
we've got to
combo.
do it. Well, a curry versus gravy on chips. I would have neither.
Really?
I would have vinegar on chips. I like salt and vinegar on chips.
Just
I
your
don't have
standard? Yeah.
vinegar.
Why
salt and
is
vinegar.
that? Is there a reason for that? Do you think it doesn't deserve to be on there? Or you just want to savour that flavour?
I just savour the
Savour the
flavour.
flavour.
Savour the flavour of the salt and the vinegar.
Yeah.
I just love the combo.
Okay.
Yeah, I do as well.
Are you going butter on
still-
there? Are you going? Yeah.
No, I wouldn't have butter on it. No,
No?
I
No
just
butter?
Like the chips,
Uh-huh.
salt and vinegar. If I've got fish and chips, I have butter. Obviously, butter on.
Yeah. Yeah.
We learned a trick from Coleman's recently that they put their they use distilled vinegar
Mhm.
and they put it in a spray bottle. That's
Spray
why
it.
it's so even.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really good, isn't it?
It's good, isn't it? 'Cause it's more
Yeah.
even. Because if you
I've
do
done it
that
yet, by the
clumps
way.
on, it just kind of dissipates kind of over the evenly. It's quite a good idea, that, isn't it?
Vinegar mist.
Yeah, a vinegar mist.
Well, I was talking to Coleman's one day.
Yeah, just bring it in.
Because they have their beer batter, don't they? And
Yeah.
I was saying, can we do anything with whiskey? And he was saying, well, could we do whiskey and ginger batter? Can you imagine?
Yes.
Because next year is 100 years of Ferguson's. Ferguson's transport.
And it's 100 years of Coleman's as well.
Yes.
Is it
So
really?
we're saying,
Yeah.
can we do something together?
Yeah.
Because obviously there's South East Northumberland and Ferguson's is Blythe. So I was just chatting just at an event that was at and thinking, I wonder if there's some sort of collab we can have.
That
with
would be a great collaboration.
because
I'd love to see that.
It would be really good, wouldn't it?
We
Because
should maybe talk about that after this conversation and what's happening.
You shouldn't have said that because we're going to try and shoehorn something in and get us
We're going to
involved.
have to tell you about. We're going to tell you about that after this next question.
Yeah. Right. What's your Greg's order?
you know, the only time I eat Greggs is on a morning. When I'm driving south and I get in the car and I never have breakfast and I'm driving south and I stop at Wetherby and it's just about 100 miles from my house, so it's about an hour and a half, ready for a stop. And I go and I have bacon sandwich and a cup of tea and I eat it at Wetherby Services. If it's a nice day, sitting in the bench, and if it's tipping it down, it's sitting in the car.
Yeah.
And that is a perfect way to start a holiday.
Yeah.
And that's the last thing you have in the northeast before you go. Weatherby's the end.
I love that.
The end of the northeast. And then coming home, we would probably do the same if it's at morning time and we're getting home. That's the reintroduction to the northeast.
Yeah.
Like a checkpoint.
It is. Weatherby services.
Great checkpoint.
Okay. Passport.
It is, yeah.
Money,
'Cause
bacon sandwich.
Yeah, the thing is, I travel, because I'm up and down all the time, and I've been to that Weatherby so many times. I'm just thinking, I can say Eileen sitting on the right hand side, or you sitting further away, so you're kind of putting yourself a little bit further back because it's got a little bit of a space, isn't it, in front of the windows? So you sit over there and have a bacon
there and I
sandwich.
watch people.
Yeah,
I have a bacon sandwich.
Oh, people watching's the best pastime, isn't it? Yeah.
And I when I was on holiday once, relatively recently, a few years ago, I broke my arm, so I had to get it. I had to go to Leeds because it had to be rebroken because it hadn't been set properly, and I had to get it. So I had to go to Leeds for 1 or 2 appointments, and I was saying, right, we're not having breakfast before we set off, and off I would go with my arm and sorting that out. My sister once took me and she went, "Do we have to go to Weatherby?" I said, "No, we're stopping at Weatherby. We're not stopping anywhere else but Weatherby, and then get a Greg's." And I think I thought, well, what are you like?
Again, what your brains do, it won't taste better. It'll taste different if we go somewhere else. You've got to go to Weatherby.
The cup of tea that they give you at Weatherby is fab. It's a really good cup of tea, and I always put milk in when I'm at Weatherby.
Okay.
Isn't that
interesting.
weird?
Yeah.
Because I've always done it.
Yeah.
What a place to finish.
It is perfect. Yeah, I think Eileen's going to start making up trips just so she can go to Weatherby.
Exactly.
How far is it?
Really don't know. Yeah, have we got time?